Trance or trance-like techno music fan are bright and piercing lead sounds combined with touching melodies. In today's video, I will teach you creating two such lead sounds from scratch. As you will discover soon, making trance-like techno in style of alignment is in fact simple and pleasant, especially if you are using a versatile synth like Serum. Is there anything more pleasant than that? Well, if you like Serum as much as I do, you should check out my Serum Techno preset pack. Packed with over 40 customizable and quality lead, pad and bass sounds presets, your techno productions will quickly step up to the next level while still being original. That is because presets in my pack are unlikely to be found in similar products. Learn more and download your copy today at thrillmusic.com/rtr. What is cool about these trance-like sounds is that they are made using the simplest wavetable ever, the basic shapes. To get a sound full of high frequencies, I will use a square wave. The sound ends too quickly, so I will reach out to the volume envelope and increase the release. That will give a ringing tail to the lead. For more rhythm, the lead should also become quieter in time like every plug sound does. To adjust that, use both decay and sustain controls. A suggestion to make the melody more interesting would be to remove the ringing tail from some of the notes in the MIDI clip. In Ableton, I turn on the automation view and click the release knob in Serum to bring its automation lane. Then I use the pencil tool to turn down the release to 0 at appropriate times. Coming back to the oscillators, what do many analog synthesizers use to create more complex sounds out of simple waveforms is the FM synthesis. In short and simple words, FM synthesis alters directly the sound from the oscillator with another oscillator. Because it's the oscillator's frequency that is modulated, such technique results in aggressive sounds. Our current oscillator will be altered with the oscillator B that has to be on. We will not need the oscillator B itself to be audible though, so I will turn down its volume. Now, to attach the FM modulation to the oscillator A, I use its warp-in section and choose FM from B option. The knob above the label will now tell the FM amount. Setting up the FM amount is the first way of adjusting the FM synthesis. The second way would be to alter the modulating signal itself that is in the oscillator B. Let's use the square wave for the second time. I can fine-tune the square wave by using the warp-in section for the second time. I will use another warp-in mode to alter just the duty cycle of our square wave. To make sure the sound is identical every time we play a note, I will turn down the initial phase randomization in both oscillators. That will make these two oscillators always start from the same place. Let's add some wobble to the sound. Usually, such modulations are done by using LFOs or envelopes that control, for example, pitch or the filter. I will do something more original and use the unisono section in the oscillator B. By cranking up the number of unisono voices to 2, I will force the oscillator B to play two square waves at once. These two square waves have slightly different pitch. That pitch difference is adjusted by the tune knob. There is also a blend knob that sets the volume of each extra unison voice added, but unless the number of voices is larger than 2, the blend knob doesn't do anything. At last, I increase the pitch of the oscillator B. The synth could benefit from more modulations, so let's modulate the volume of the oscillator A in time. I drag the LFO1 tile towards the level knob. We can hear the change in volume, so that change is too slow. Instead of a triangle wave as a LFO curve, I will use a flipped square wave. Now I can use the LFO rate knob to speed up the modulation. The last thing would be to change the modulation range. I do this by dragging the level knob with left Alt key held. All that's left now is to beef up the synth by using a few effects from the effects tab. But before that, let me advertise myself quickly and just say that if you wish to have other sound design or music production subjects explained in such an easy and practical way, consider going onto my website to learn more about my private music production lessons. Free consultations are available as well. The first effect will be a very small delay that will help enhancing the stereo width. The hyper/dimension effect is divided into two sections. The hyper one is a chorus-like effect that we will not use for this sound, so I will turn all these parameters to 0. The second section, the dimension, is where that very small delay is added. To control the delay time, we have the size parameter that is easy to adjust. The second knob is the mix knob. It blends the delay with our dry sound. After the dimension, I will use a classic chorus that gives a more transparent sound than the hyper effect. The most important control would be the chorus modulation speed. It's easy to overdo the modulation and create a weird sound. So I will set it quite low. The delay 1 and delay 2 knobs add a fixed offset in milliseconds to duplicated signals that are used by chorus to create the modulation. Most of the times they don't add any significant change to the sound, so don't pay too much attention to them. More important controls are the modulation depth, that makes the chorus signal more or less rich. And the feedback, that can make the chorus ring in more. We can filter out some of the frequencies from the chorus signal. In case of my sound, I want the chorus applied only to the highest frequencies. I click the LPF label to change the filter type to a high-pass one and adjust the frequency knob. The mix knob, again, blends the chorus with the dry sound. What if our sound needs to be even more aggressive? We already used DFM modulation, so a second thing I can try out is distortion. For such simple lead sounds, we can limit ourselves to use only the basic features of this effect, that is choosing a distortion algorithm and its amount with the drive knob. The approach is simple. At first, I exaggerate the amount of distortion added to hear the difference between various distortion algorithms better. The asymmetrical algorithm sounds cool, and now I can set the drive knob appropriately. The sound after distortion is way louder than before distortion. We can click the mix label to reveal the level knob to adjust the output volume. I will use that to compensate the difference in volume. The last effect will fill the space between the notes. We are talking about the reverb. Again, I start by bringing the mix knob up to hear the reverb better. The first choice would be to whether use the plate or whole reverb type. The whole algorithm sounds less metallic and I will stick with that. The second choice would be to set the size control. That is the second most important reverb control as it controls its character. The length of the reverb can be adjusted with the decay knob. The amount of low and high frequencies in the reverb is set with respectively low cut and high cut controls. I will use these to make the reverb lighter. The spin and spin depth knobs give a minor influence over the sound and they can be used to make the reverb sound less metallic. Once all the reverb parameters are adjusted, it's time to blend this effect with the mix control. That will finish the first synth sound. Let's see what else can be done with a square wave. I will use it again in the oscillator A. I want that sound to be much smoother. A good solution will be using the unisono section again. This time I will make the oscillator A play 5 square waves and all of them will have slight difference in pitch. The larger that difference in pitch, the more background we add to the sound. The unisono sounds smoother than in our previous sound. That's because earlier we used the unisono feature on the oscillator B that was the source of FM modulation. Now the oscillator A itself gets extra unison voices, thus the smoothness we get. It's also better now to leave the phase randomization at 100%, otherwise the sound will not be as powerful. To make the sound more bright, in the warping section I will use the sync warping mode. Let's modulate the sound with a phaser-like effect. What I want to get is a single cut in the equalizer that moves slowly in time. An appropriate way to get that would be by using the filter section. In the MISC category, I have a band reject filter type. That looks like something I described earlier. I will make that cut deeper by increasing the width knob. The same thing can be achieved by increasing the filter resonance. The frequency knob is the parameter I will modulate now with an LFO. Let's assign an LFO to that knob, draw an appropriate modulation curve and set the modulation speed and range. The pan knob makes the filter settings slightly different for both left and right channel. Adjusting this can increase the width of the sound. In the effects tab, we begin with similar effects as before. Both hyper/dimension and reverb were covered earlier, so let's add these right away. Apart from these two, we will add more modulation to the sound with phaser. I will synchronize the phaser rate to the BPM and make the modulation faster. To make the phaser more intense, I will decrease the modulation depth, but I will increase the feedback instead. At last, to fine-tune the phaser, I tweak the phase knob. The dry wet will stay above 50% to make the phaser audible enough. In the end, let's equalize the sound. The first thing I will do is to boost the high frequencies. That will make the synthesizer more present. To increase the clarity, we can also cut some low mid frequencies. The sound could be lighter, and by that I mean removing the lowest frequencies from the sound. I have no extra slot in the equalizer, so let's return to the OSC tab and edit the current waveform. Click the pencil icon and you will open the wavetable editor. We will focus only on the upper section that shows the volume of each harmonic that builds our square wave. Each of these pillars or harmonics add tones with certain frequency, starting by the lowest tone from the left and ending with the highest one on the right. To cut the lowest frequency and to make the sound lighter, click the first pillar and turn it a bit down. Regarding the external processing, it will be easy now to make the sound richer by simply playing chords. For that, I'm using the chord MIDI effect. This setting will give the same effect as duplicating the melody from the MIDI clip and transposing it an octave down. For more rhythm, a simple sidechain compression or volume automation can be used. As always, I'm using the shaper plus utility combination I have been using in lots of my previous tutorials.